You're listening to the ProcureTech podcast, your weekly show for all that's cooking in the digital procurement space. Yes, we've got the hottest startups, thought leadership, and conversation from visionary industry experts, and definitely no stiff corporate content. I'm your host, James Meads, Procurement Pro, Digital Nomad, and ProcureTech fanboy. And now, here's this week's show. Yes, welcome to another episode of the ProcureTech podcast, where every week we bring you everything that is exciting, fun, and innovative in the digital procurement space. We don't bring you any boring solutions on this podcast. And we are kicking off this week with our first in a mini series on contract management solutions. This is a very rapidly growing space. It's also quite a new and expanding space as well. And there have been a lot of solutions that have come onto the market over the last 2 or 3 years that are really expanding what's out there as solutions in this area. But all of them are a little bit different in terms of what they can offer and what specific unique selling points that they have and the solutions that they provide to their customers. So we're going to dig into that a little bit on each of these episodes to try and point you in the right direction of which contract management solution is the best for your business. And the first in this series is with a startup that I met at a conference last September in Berlin that are a pretty young company, but are growing and have offering something quite innovative and unique in this space all around blockchain, which we're going to get into a little bit later in the discussion. So without any more introduction, I would like to introduce you to this week's guest, who is Elena Mechik, Chief Operating Officer of Berlin-based contract management startup Inhubber. Elena, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you very much, James, for the nice introduction. And I'm very happy to be with you today.
Fantastic. So let's start off, maybe if you can just explain something that I saw on your website, which is Inhubber is the only platform worldwide offering end-to-end encryption for your contracts. Talk to me a little bit about this. Why is that important? And I guess, why are no other solutions doing this at the moment?
So, of course, when we say worldwide only platform, as far as we know, there might be, of course, somewhere in the world another company which we are not aware of, just to make it clear. But why is it important? We saw, especially now with the unfortunate corona crisis, that more and more companies are being cyber attacked, phishing attacked, also as a result of digitalization. More and more documents, contracts, important sensitive information is being uploaded to cloud solutions, to external servers, and the hackers are not sleeping as well, and there's a lot of challenges in regard with data storage. And we at Inhubber are dealing with contracts, and contracts are, of course, documents with very high level of internal information, where the risks of losing some important information are very high. So we at Inhubber say contracts are actually like money. Yeah, so you should be also careful to store them in the same way as you would go to a bank and store your finances, your money at the end. And that's what we did. So we encrypt the contract from the user to the user. Usually what happens is that the contracts or other platforms are offering encryption on the server directly. Yeah, so when the contracts are stored, they're encrypted on the cloud. But what we do, we encrypt the contract also directly from the user who's actually uploading the contract from. We don't send unencrypted documents at any point on our platform. The documents are never sent over email or to the partner, to the customer. They're always in a completely encrypted way. And that provides us a very high level of security for our customers. And especially in the coming years, we see this topic is becoming more and more important because of the digitalization which is happening.
And I think it's going to get, I mean, nobody can predict the future, but I suspect it's going to be even more important as time goes on, because cyber attacks are likely to become more frequent rather than less frequent, I guess. So it kind of surprises me, really, that none of the big sort of established contract sign-off companies, some of them that have got a lot of money from venture funds in Silicon Valley, have not sort of adopted this into their platforms yet. But if you say they haven't, then that's certainly interesting and a good niche to be in. You're also doing a lot around blockchain, aren't you? And this is a topic that often, to somebody that's not a technical person, this is often something that maybe the general listener would perhaps associate more with Bitcoin or with cryptocurrency. So could you maybe, just for the purpose of anyone that's listening that's not a technical expert, just give us a really quick overview of what is blockchain and why is it relevant to contract management?
Yes, definitely. When people usually hear blockchain, they connect it straight away to Bitcoin, Ethereum, cryptocurrencies. Usually, yeah, it is connected and people know it basically mostly from the cryptocurrencies, but the blockchain technology provides important benefits which can be used in various industries, various use cases. What is blockchain? What is it in general? And some people say it's so complicated to understand, but what I say usually, it's actually quite simple to understand. You save certain information on various knots, so chains, so to say. Let's say you want to save the information, my money stored on the certain street, and you don't save this information on your personal laptop, but simultaneously on 10,000 other, 100,000 other laptops. So let's say someone wants to change this information at one of the laptops. All the other laptops will say, oh, there's something happening. It cannot be changed because we have stored the same information, and there's so what blockchain is actually offering is this unchangeability of the information, immutability. Because should a point of this blockchain be trying to change, everyone else will realize it. And that's what is happening with blockchain at the end. That's why cryptocurrency, and that's why for contract management, especially, we can use this technology, the immutability, for contract storage. So at the end, we can provide an audit trail where we know exactly what has happened to the contract, who has signed the contract, and this information can never be changed again, so to say. So we provide like a total transparency in regard with what is happening with contracts. And as well, coming back to the end-to-end encryption, we are actually using blockchain technology as a private key of every user to encrypt the contracts. Yeah, that's the technology behind this wording of end-to-end encryption at Inhubber.
So I guess the difference is then, while a lot of contract management platforms, or pretty much all of them, will timestamp the changes and the amendments when they are sent to different parties or when they're sort of exchanged internally. But what blockchain can do is it can also track whether any of the changes have been edited or amended, whereas maybe some of the other platforms that don't offer it can't can't do that. So if anybody's being dishonest and is changing the changes that somebody else's lawyer has made, then this would stop you from doing that.
Definitely. And at the end, blockchain is a great technology to provide exactly that. Yeah. Impossibility to change the information or to change the changes which have happened.
Yeah. So in terms of industry sector or size of business, who are you seeing, in terms of your sales or customer acquisition, who are you seeing is the most interested in this type of technology? Because I'm really curious to understand which industries want to have this the most, perhaps in terms of how advanced they are with their risk management strategy, for example. So I'm curious to hear where you're getting the most interest from. I mean, I know you're still quite a young company and you're in growth mode, but it's definitely interesting to understand which sectors are adopting this.
So in general, it's interesting for customers who have been attacked in a way. Like they are the ones coming and saying, yeah, we totally understand the challenges we have because they already some data lag has happened. They have lost already, quite a lot of money because of a certain cyber attack. In general, it like I would say 1 year ago, it was more larger companies, mid-sized companies who have very strict restrictions regarding what software, which solutions they can introduce within the company. But nowadays, also small and medium-sized companies have been affected by cyber attacks. Maybe you were following some news from Austria. It was like a huge cyber attack. In general, so companies who are aware of the situation are coming towards us. And mostly, I can say, like from real estate companies, from construction companies, but also banks. We are talking also to banks who, of course, have very high level of security. How can you say, like requirements for their document contract storage.
Okay, that's interesting in terms of the sectors. Yeah. It's not just contracts that you can put through your solution, though, is it? You can also put other documents through there if you need to have a very specific audit trail. And I saw on your website there was an example of purchase orders. So where do you see the advantage of routing purchase orders through the platform?
So in a way, our platform is a solution where you can store actually any information, any contracts, any documents on it. Purchase orders, contracts, receipts at the end. You can connect this information within each other. You can always know who within your company has access to which kind of documents. So a very deep level of sharing information and also sharing this information with your contract partners, so with your suppliers, and in an encrypted way. So you actually at no point send purchase orders, send contracts, send any information unencrypted to other partners. And that's a benefit. Yeah, that's a benefit that you always know where is which information, who has access to what. You can be completely sure that it is protected from the outside world you would not like to share it with. And at the end, we combine two technologies. Yeah, blockchain is one technology, but we also have artificial intelligence in order to analyze contracts, which provides our customers benefits of uploading a large amount of contracts and analyze them on specific metadata. So when is the contract ending? Who are the contract partners? What are the options which have been negotiated? What are the requirements, etc.? Providing a full transparency into contractual relationships, and also providing like a total information of due diligence, of topics like what are the contracts which are about to expire within the next 3 months, within the next 6 months, which risks are connected to my contractual relationships.
So just a quick interlude, because there are a couple of things that I really want to make you aware of, because I think they will be valuable for you. So number one, we now have a monthly newsletter where we bring you curated content of everything that's happening in the digital procurement space. If you want to get that, just head to procuretechpodcast.com/newsletter, enter your name and email, and we'll get that delivered straight to your inbox. Number two, if you're a head of procurement or a center of excellence leader, and you're perhaps a little bit confused or overwhelmed with what's out there as best of breed digital procurement technology, especially if you're a mid-sized business, schedule a call with me. There's a link at the bottom of the show notes in this episode. Just hit that schedule a call link and we can have a quick chat to understand your challenges and what potential solutions out there may be suitable for your organization. And now let's get right back to this week's show. Tell me a little bit more about the AI, because that was what I was going to ask you next, actually. So if I receive a contract from a supplier and I would like to understand a little bit more about some of the key clauses or terms that are in there, if you tell the AI what to look for, can it search contracts for specific information? I mean, I'm thinking things like liability clauses and warranty, and insurance, which are typically, very, very important things on the purchasing side. Is it able to search through the contracts and filter those out to avoid the user having to sort of manually go through the contract, or does it only pick out some key terms like the parties and the termination date?
So it depends on your requirements. Let's say in your example with liabilities and certain clauses, it's possible to set up our artificial intelligence in that way that it will help you find the specific clauses, the specific information within the contract. So how we usually work, we have a preset metadata, like the basic metadata, which we are analyzing the contract on, let's say a contract title, contract duration, contract partners, amounts which have been negotiated. But then we have a very specific analysis for our customers. So if you come to us and you ask us, I would like to find liabilities within a certain kind of contract, so we can implement it for this specific kind of contract, this specific analysis. Because of course, talking about, let's say, service level agreement or master service agreement, you would have totally different information you would be looking for within these two kind of contracts.
Exactly.
So that's what we actually do. We take certain contract type which you tell us, and we can provide you this analysis for this certain contract type. So usually it works in a way that our customers ask us, provide us around 10 questions they would like to ask their contracts, and around 20 sample contracts. And we set it up for specific companies in a way that they can use it.
Because like everything that uses AI, you have to train it, right? You have to be able to tell it what to look for. So what you're saying is then that each customer that you have, it can be uniquely programmed for them based on what their needs are, because a manufacturing company is going to be a lot different to a bank, to use your example, in terms of what they would typically have as being the key clauses in their contract.
Exactly. And as I mentioned, so we have basic fields we are filling out, which anyone can use if it matches, like this basic information, partners, durations, etc. And then there is specific information which we can provide for certain companies.
That's really interesting, because looking now in terms of things like sustainability, which are coming very high up the agenda now to a lot of procurement and supply chain teams, contracts, if you're buying raw materials or commodities from quite geopolitically unstable countries and markets, that's going to be a big topic in the coming years. So if you've got artificial intelligence that can scan contracts for their corporate social responsibilities or anti-corruption clauses, I think that's a really useful automated tool that can be offered, because often it is time consuming for the buyer, right, to go through a 20-30 page document in some cases and pick out the clauses that are typically the ones that they need to look through. So yeah, that's definitely an advantage.
Yeah, it's exactly what we are actually doing, and we are also already now working on social responsibility and corruption issues, etc., which you might find out through contractual obligations and contractual relationships. Yeah.
So it leverages blockchain. It has the AI function. It can also pick out certain clauses based on what the company wants to look for. It also does the complete signature process as well, doesn't it? So it can do the routing, and it can do the sign off, and it can also monitor based on certain deadlines, for example, when the contract expires or when you need to give notice. Let's just touch on, because I want to make this useful to the listener, let's touch on what it doesn't do. So it's not a clause library, so it doesn't use the whole contract authoring functionality to pull different clauses from a predefined library, because I know some solutions on the market, which we'll be speaking to as part of this series, do that. So just want to be clear, it doesn't do that, does it?
Not yet, and it's part of our roadmap. So for now, we are taking
interesting.
Yeah, so we are going in that direction, and throughout the next year, we will also provide a close library. For now, yes, you are right. We are taking contracts as they are. It's easy to onboard. You can just upload the contracts. You get, like this overview of your obligations, your contractual relationships, and you can sign contracts. You can put reminders for yourself and get the total transparency of your existing contractual relationships. You can also sign contracts. And yeah, within the coming year, we will be going in that direction of having also a closed library and using templates also for contractual, for creating contracts.
And does it treat documents differently based on where they are coming from? I guess by that question, I mean, if I'm a buyer working for a company, and we have our own standard contract document, there would, I guess by default, there would need to be less checks and less process around sending that between myself and a supplier's legal team. Whereas if you're receiving third-party contracts, on the supplier's format, or in according to the supplier's legal team who have written that, is the way that you train the AI, does it treat those differently?
So it depends on the customer needs. Of course, from your example, it makes sense to tell this kind of contracts. We don't need to go into analysis and or not in that depth. And that's the freedom we give our customers. So you personally, like our customer, can decide which contracts should be analyzed on which information, what is the specific workflow you would like to have for your specific contracts, for internal created contracts or for external contracts you would receive from your partners. And regarding the AI, regarding the signature processes, it's all flexible. Yeah, so you can actually set it up for yourself, for your needs, and just tell the system in a way what is the way for this kind of contracts.
Excellent. And my final question, You're a pretty new company. You were founded in 2019, and I know that you've grown quite a lot over the past year. Other than what you mentioned about the clause library that you're working on, what other plans do you have in your product roadmap that you can maybe share with us that is not confidential? And can this solution also be used for other functions such as sales, for example?
Actually, yes. So we are about to put live the information regarding customers, suppliers, etc., which will be part of our solution. So you will have also total overview of all contacts with whom you are creating contracts, and these contacts your partners can be your customers or your suppliers, etc. So that's one part, like having the history of contractual relationships and also the history of people you have been working with during the last years. Then, as I mentioned, the clause library, but also contract creation, contract negotiation is also about to come out within the next 3 months.
So I think Inhubber is definitely one to watch as they grow. Then what they're developing with what is still quite a new tool. So I'm excited, Elena, for the direction that you're going in, and I think you've got some exciting times ahead as you build this to be a more sort of complete solution in terms of complete contract lifecycle management. If anybody would like to get in touch with you or maybe arrange a demo, what's the best way that people can reach you?
So over my email, which is elena.mechik@inhubber.com, or just over our website. So you have a direct link to set up a demo with us, where I would be happy to present our solution to you.
Fantastic. Elena, thank you very much for joining me and wish you every success.
Thanks a lot, James. And looking forward to stay in touch. Bye-bye.
So that was Elena from Inhubber, and blockchain and timestamping and complete audit trails of contracts. I think end-to-end encryption as well. I think this is really going to be a topic of the future, and I was excited to bring them onto the show because I think this is an innovative piece of technology that, while they're still a young company, I think is really going to grow over the coming years when compliance and supply chain transparency becomes more and more important, especially in their native market in Germany that has just seen a new supply chain law come into force earlier this year. Just a couple of things before we sign off. If you like the podcast, then don't forget to head over to where you listen to your podcasts and click on subscribe so as you get notifications each time we publish a new episode, which is, of course, every Wednesday. We know that there are a lot of procurement podcasts out there now, and I'm very, very grateful that you chose to listen to us on your day-to-day. Thank you for listening as always, and we will see you again the same time next week. Bye for now.